My next guest takes on Sage Northcutt coming up here at UFC Fight Night 120 this Saturday. It's Michel Quinones joining me here on the program. Mitchell, how are you?
Good, man. Very good. As you can see, it's pretty sunny outside and very good weather. It's like 80-something degrees out. So I'm enjoying it right before I leave Tuesday to Virginia, where I hear it's pretty cold out there.
Yeah, and I appreciate you doing this, man, during fight week. It's really a pleasure, and I thank you for the time. I'm not going to show you my view here. It's very cold here in Toronto, Canada. Yeah, let's talk about this fight, man. You're fighting Sage Northcutt. A lot of guys have wanted to fight Sage Northcutt. You got this fight. Were you excited when you found out when you were fighting him? What was sort of the reaction?
Actually, they were giving me somebody else at 45, but I didn't feel too comfortable on 45 anymore going down, especially after my last fight. I made the weight, but it's a rough cut. And now that I'm getting a little older, I think that my 45 days are behind me. Unless the money's right, then, maybe I could, and I have a good training camp, I'll go back down there. But I think going to 55 is a smarter decision. I want to feel a lot better. I think my style of fighting, which is very explosive, light on my feet. I'm always moving a lot of volume. I think going to 55 is going to be a lot better fit for me as opposed to dropping so much weight and being the bigger fighter at 45.
Good for you, man, and good for you for recognizing that, because a lot of fighters, we're seeing so many issues with weight cutting, and at least you've kind of recognized that, hey, it's kind of impacting things, and you're trying to take the safer route to a lot of degrees. So good on you for that.
Yeah, and a lot of and health-wise too, man. For having a longevity in this career, you got to be healthy, and I think running my body's, so much through all this dieting and killing myself to make weight, the risk reward wasn't good enough.
Coming off a loss to Jared Gordon in your debut, I know losses are never fun, but you always learn a lot from a loss. What did you sort of take away from that fight?
Probably the biggest thing was the weight issue. Making weight. If I would have fought, I know me and him were supposed to fight in Dallas in May. So if I would have fought on that card and then turned around and fought again to have a quick turnaround fight in June, it would have been horrible for me anyway. So it was good to find out early in my UFC career that if I wanted to have more back-to-back fights, I can't make that weight. I can make the weight, obviously, but I can't fight and be at my best performance. So for me, I think that was a big lesson that I took away was going up to 55, pretty much.
And you're taking on Sage Northcutt. Just looking at this from sort of the overall perspective, the UFC likes Northcutt. I mean, he was on UFC 200. He's been kind of pushed a lot. In some ways, you're being brought in to lose here. How do you sort of feel about that and being the guy who has the opportunity to spoil the party?
Yeah, no, I was actually surprised that they put me, surprised and not surprised that they matched me up with Northcutt. As you said, I'm pretty sure that the odds are in his favor as far as the matchmakers go and as far as the general consensus is that I'm being put in there to fight, a name, and I don't have a name, which I understand. So it's more pressure on him, I think, because he doesn't really know my skill set. He doesn't know what I bring to the table. He's had, I think, 5 fights already in the UFC, so he's pretty much shown what he can do, what he can't do, I know he's still growing into the sport, but I just think it's a great matchup for me stylistically. It's not Jared Gordon was, I wasn't myself that fight, but stylistically it was a harder fight. I think the Northcutt, he does come down from a bigger. I think he's a big dude for a 55, and he's explosive and he's powerful and strong, but I think the weight cut is an issue for him. I'm not sure. He's a pretty big dude, and I think he tested the waters at 170 with Mickey Gall and with Brian Barbena, I think, something like that, and it didn't go so well for him. So I think he's kind of in between. So, but whatever. I mean, I'm not so much focused on what he's going to do and how he fights. I know he's a skilled fighter, and as you saw last night, man, anything could happen to anybody at any given night. So if he's sleeping on me, even better. Everybody, if he thinks it's going to be an easy fight and it's just a fight just to get him, to launch pad him into another campaign, to a big fight, then he has another thing coming.
Interesting. Yeah, I happen to agree with that. I think that's, you have to look at it sort of from, just anything can happen in the sport, and that's a great way of putting it. How do you feel like you're like after watching his fights and everything, how do you feel like your skill set matches up against his?
I think very well, actually. He likes to strike. I like to strike. He mixes in his wrestling and grappling with his striking as well. I just think you know what? I'm just very confident in my ability and confident in my training camp and my coaches and my team and teammates and what we've put together. And I'm just going to go out there and just give it 100%, give it very confident in my ability. So just the game plan is to go in there and do me, you know.
And how's training camp going in American Top Team? Obviously, you got some good weather, but who've been some of your main training partners helping you get ready for this fight?
I mean, I've been training with a lot of guys out there. As you know, I mean, it's a who's who out there. So I've been training with a lot of 55ers, a lot of 7-years, just a lot of different looks. I've actually had some. I've been training with this guy named Rami, who's very, very good stand-up, who's very similar to the style of Wonder Boy and Sage, that kind of point karate style. So I've been getting that look. Man, everything's been going great. I really can't complain.
Wanted to get your thoughts. Colby Covington is at American Top Team, and I know he said some things to Tyron Woodley and things like that. There's been like a mixed review at American Top Team. What was your view when you heard his comments? What were your thoughts on it?
Oh man, you know what? At first, when I first heard it, I was like, that was kind of crossing the line to go at a country. You know, if you want to go to certain people and isolate certain people, that's, do you. This is the business of calling people out and talking shit and all this other stuff. That's all good and everything like that. But once you start going at a country, it's like, you might be crossing the line there. But I understood his frustration after the fact that people, if you're walking out and people are spitting at you and they're acting all kind of crazy, and you're gonna get the boos. You're gonna go to Brazil. You're fighting one of their guys. They're gonna go for it for their guy. But if they're spitting at you and throwing stuff at you as you're walking out and threatening you or whatever, that's a little much. What he should have said was probably address those people in the crowd and be like, listen, the people who act in whatever fashion, and that's talk shit to them, but don't say Brazil as a whole is a dump. And Brazil is this. You can't generalize everybody. I mean, I would have taken it offensively too if it was my country. Somebody said, well, Colombia's a piece of shit and they're nothing but drug dealers and this and that. I'd take offense to that. But I think in the heat of the moment of everything that was going on, and he's a very intense dude from what it seems. I don't really know him personally, to be honest with you. But from what everything seemed, is like I guess he's a little hothead or something like that. I don't know, but I don't agree 1,000% of what he said, but I guess I could understand where he was coming from, and the frustration probably he didn't word it the right way, but I could see where he was coming from.
Fair enough. How much better has this camp been, just with the fact you don't have to cut that extra 10 pounds to get down to 45? You seem like you're in a good mood, so I'm going to take that as a positive sign.
Yeah, I don't got to cut that much weight. I did put on some muscle. I did put on some size. I was a big featherweight to begin with anyway, so I was always floating around in the mid to high 70s. I put on muscle. I've been training ever since I got back from Oklahoma City, so I haven't stopped training. I feel great, man. This training camp's been great. I've had a long notice for the fight, so I've had 2 months, 8 weeks to get ready for the fight. So I feel good. I feel confident.
Who's going to be in your corner for this fight?
Same 3 guys are in my corner from last fight. Roger Crawl, my head instructor, my dad, Sensei Fred Davis, and my grappling coach, Jeremy Diaz.
Very cool. How's this fight ending on November 11th? How do you envision it sort of unfolding?
You know what? I've had a little change of mental process going into this fight. Before I was so focused on winning and knocking everybody out. As we've talked before on different occasions, and I'm always like, I'm gonna knock this dude out in the first round, or you know what? Now it's more the mentality of going in and giving my 1,000% of me and doing everything that I can in my power, so I can control that outcome. I think when you focus too much on winning and things that you're not in control of, if it doesn't go your way or things don't start going your way, you start to panic and just your mindset is completely messed up. So for me, I think I'm in a better place mentally as well, and I think I learned that from my last fight. So for me, the fight, obviously I want to win, and I would love to win in a spectacular fashion by, outstriking the striker. But I'm going to do everything that I can. I got to, no one's seen my ground game. I do have one submission in my record. But I could do it all, man. I could do it all. I'm just very confident. Get in there and just get ready to fight.
Before I let you go, I asked all the fighters this: what are you watching right now on Netflix? What's getting you through the training camp as far as TV and everything?
Yeah, Netflix has been my go-to for relaxation. I've watched Mindhunters. They have a new season of Mindhunters. I've always liked that. I think in your show I've expressed that I liked forensic sciences and murders and all that stuff. So Mindhunters is kind of like the how the FBI started to profile killers and how they started coining the name serial killers and stuff like that. So it was kind of like, and it's based off real people that have killed and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool. It's more psychological. You don't really see a lot of killings, but you get to know the psychological part behind it. I've been watching Stranger Things 2, season 2. I love season 1, so season 2 I'm like more than halfway done with that. What else is on Netflix that I've seen a couple of movies. But
those are two really good choices right there. I mean, you can't go wrong with both those. So.
Things, yeah. I mean, you got to watch those. Those are really good.
We certainly got to watch your fight this Saturday. It's UFC Fight Night 120. It's going to be an awesome fight. You and Sage Northcutt. Mitchell, it's always a pleasure talking to you, man. I really appreciate you taking the time. Like I said, especially during fight week, man. It's a pleasure. Where can people get a hold of you on social media? And if you got any sponsors or shout outs, the floor is yours, man.
Yeah, man. Just shout out everybody at American Top Team. All my teammates at American Top Team. Roger Croft, Fred Davis, Jeremy Diaz, Pat O'Reilly. Let's see what else. On social media, you can find me on Instagram, Capo_UFC. On Facebook, Michel Quinones. I got to get a Twitter. I've been sleeping on that, so I got to get one. Promise you next time we have interviews.
I'm going to hold you to that. All right, fair enough.
Yeah, no, I definitely have one. Snapchat, Capo with a 0_22. Thank you to Newcom, to Silver Lining, David Bell at Lean Staffing Solutions, everybody who supports me, my family, everybody who has been giving me a lot of support and help throughout this camp. I just want to say thank you to all you guys. I love you guys, and thank you for having me on your show.